How's it going, guys? It's your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with a My Hero Academia discussion on manga chapter 269. And in this video, there's one thing that I really want to talk about, and it's mainly who's gonna die. Yeah, because if you didn't realize while reading the past few chapters of My Hero, which, come on, really? You're better than that. But yeah, in this most recent chapter of My Hero Academia, we learned that Shigaraki is dead. Now, if you've been around the world, longer than like 6 or 7 years and watched anime, you know that when it comes to like the main bad, you could have the body laid in front of you, charred to ashes, bullet wounds out the wazoo. But if you know that, hey, there's like 50 more chapters after this, and the main bad is dead now, you know for a fact that he's going to come back to life. And that's basically what's most likely then not going to happen within the next chapter of 2. Shigaraki's going to wake up, he's going to have this new power, and he's going to kill a lot of people. And when it comes to this arc, a lot of people are gonna die. So I really want to talk about the possibilities of certain heroes dying, as well as maybe a villain or two who's gonna die. So in this video, I'm gonna talk primarily about the heroes, and then get to the villains towards the end. But to start off, I want to talk about a few heroes that I know for a fact are gonna live after this arc. And you got Deku, who's the protagonist. Obviously, he's gonna survive because he has to fight Shigaraki at the end of the series. But pretty much all of the students in class 1A, 1B, you have Nejire, you have Tamaki, and any students who are here from the other schools. And it's most likely that all of the heroes that we've seen in the story, as well as all of the students, are going to be here, is because, if you remember correctly, many chapters ago, Deku says that one day in April, the month of April, all the heroes disappeared in the city. Like this. Oh, gosh. I'm never doing that again. But as you can tell, because he said that all the heroes disappeared from the city, it's very likely that all of the students are here during this war. So it's very likely that they're all going to survive, since, this is My Hero Academia. You can't have an academia without students. So yeah, all the students are going to survive. And just as a slight tangent as well, I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about the Nomus. Most likely all of the Nomus are going to die as well. Not really going to talk about Twice, since, he's already dead. But you also have a few of the original League of Villains. I'm going to talk about them later, but most likely all of them are going to survive. Now, with that introduction out the way, let's get down to the heroes that are going to die or not going to die. Oh no. Let's start off with Mirko. Oh wow, that's not a good sign. But yeah, most likely than not, Mirko could potentially die either when Shigaraki wakes up or after this arc has concluded, due to the fact that she has had, her ear blown off, her leg, like chunks of her leg ripped off, her side got pierced, is basically gone. She lost her arm and had Endeavor cauterize her wounds. She was bleeding out. So it's very likely that she is going to die, but it's also possible that she could survive. But if I were to see her surviving, she will be out of commission for a while. And if I do see her dying, it's either when Shigaraki wakes up. Oh, sorry. Shigaraki said he's not gonna wake. When Shigaraki wakes up, he could potentially kill her, or she could die in the chaos, or she could die in the same vein of Night Eye in the hospital from her injuries. Now, talking about Endeavor, before I talk about Endeavor, I'm gonna say that Exless, Exless, the dude who said that Shigaraki was dead, oh no, he's totally dead. Because if you've watched enough like television or manga or anime, you know that normally the person who finds the dead body, specifically if you watch horror, the person who says, oh, this person is dead, or here's a dead body, they're not gonna survive. So he's probably gonna be the first one to die. But when it comes to Endeavor, I think Endeavor is actually going to survive this. And mainly the reason why I say this is because Endeavor is somewhat paralleling All Might as being the number one hero. And him surviving this would confirm him as being the number one hero. But also, it makes sense that he would survive this, tying into someone else who has death flags out the wazoo, Hawks. Because if you remember correctly, a few chapters ago, Dobby told Hawks his real name. And we know for a fact, even though it hasn't been confirmed, that Dobby is Endeavor's son. So when it comes to that idea, I think that Hawks, even with all the death flags that he has, can survive this arc only due to the reason that we have to have that conversation between him and Endeavor, because we know for a fact that Dobby is Endeavor's son, and that Hawks and Endeavor have to have that conversation. That's the main reason why I think both Hawks and Endeavor have to live during this arc. But tying into a few of the heroes on the hero billboard of Japan who probably aren't going to survive, is probably going to be Crust and, controversial choice, Ryuko. The reason why I say that is because we know Ryuko, she isn't very confident, and she is a well-known character, and I believe a very well-liked character in My Hero. And I can see Hirakoshi killing her off because, and I'm going to talk more about this concept later, but she has a connection with Asui, Ochako, and Nejire as they worked under her. So having her die would be fuel to the character development and growth of those three characters. And when it comes to Crust, I think that he's going to die as sort of collateral damage, because we haven't seen a lot from him, but we've seen a lot more than you would think in the past few chapters, where he takes on a note move by himself, where he helps President Mike and X-Liz get to the doctor and destroy Shigaraki's capsule. He has done stuff recently, but because he's in such proximity, I think that he's going to die. And if anything, he's also going to be an example of how powerful Shigaraki is. Because what we've seen, his shields are extremely powerful, extremely durable, and was basically like immune to the female no-move's liquefaction rupture ability. Because it's very assumed that that was like acid or very acidic, and the shields withstand it. So I believe that he's going to be a martyr, and he's going to show how powerful Shigaraki is by destroying pretty much his unbreakable shield. So I think that Crust is going to die due to that reasons, as well as Ryuko. And now tying more and going in line with how impactful certain heroes are going to be for class 1A and 1B, I think pretty much like the rest of the characters that are going to most likely die will have some impact on either the student or another prominent figure in the story. Tying into Aizawa, I think Aizawa is going to live because his role in the story is to teach the students how to be heroes. Specifically teach class 1A how to be heroes. And the only way that he can do that is to survive. And when it comes to what I've seen in manga and anime and all forms of entertainment, as well as a little bit of my own personal knowledge, is that in certain like school aspects, you can have an individual follow you from your first year of high school all the way to your final year of high school. Me personally, I had the same assistant principal for my 4 years of high school. And in certain anime, you can have the same teacher that you had your first year follow you all the way up until your final year of high school. So I think that Aizawa is going to play that role and is most likely going to survive for that reason. Also, he's going to survive so that he can get a little bit more character development from the death of another character via President Mike. President Mike is going to die, and it's mainly for two reasons. One, he's right next to Shigaraki. When Shigaraki wakes up, he's going to kill X-Liz, and due to the proximity of President Mike, he's probably going to die as well. But the second reason, which is more valid and has more precedence for it, is because he is the friend of Aizawa. And as we know, friends of Aizawa do not live long. And I think it would be sort of a parallel to Oboro from Vigilantes. By the way, read Vigilantes. It's good. But I think that within the canon of the story, if you don't include Vigilantes, Aizawa really hasn't gone through that growth or development that he should be going through. And I think that the death of President Mike will add on to that. And if you remember correctly, President Mike went after the doctor for making Aizawa cry. And by having President Mike cry, by having President Mike die, it will A, cause Aizawa to cry once again over a dead friend, but B, would also give him more of a personal reason to take out the Paranormal Liberation Army. Because as a hero, it's his responsibility to like stop crime and stop villains, but this gives him a personal reason to do so. And you may be thinking, well, isn't that what Stain fought against? True, but when it comes to Aizawa, he has never followed the traditional role of heroes. He does it because it's the right thing to do, but he also does it in memory of his friend. So by taking on the Paranormal Liberation Army and having President Mike die, it will give him that greater reason to go after them. And now, since we're on the topic of talking about teachers, a few teachers that I want to talk about who could potentially die include 13 with her quirk Darkhold. And the reason why I think that she's most likely to die is because she has a connection to Ochako in the way of she's a rescue hero. She has the good quirk for rescuing people in the rubble, and Ochako has a similar ability to do so. And since 13 has the ability to create dark holes, and Ochako has the ability to alter gravity, it would be very impactful to have 13 die and have Ochako basically take on that role of the best rescue hero. And that can be said about a lot of heroes that I'm going to talk about next when it comes to their importance in the story later on and how they can be replaced by a certain hero in Class 1A, Class B, or another student. And that's my reason for why 13 may die, as well as other heroes that I'm going to talk about later. But you also have a few other heroes, such as Midnight, you have Ectoplasm, and then you also have Cementos. Now, I think Midnight is going to die, and it's kind of for the opposite reason for why President Mike is going to die, but the same. Because if you read Vigilantes, and once again, read Vigilantes, you would know that Midnight was the senpai of Aizawa, or Midnight was Aizawa's senpai, or, oh gosh, that's so weird to say senpai, but that's basically what it was. So I think it would just be overkill to have her die in this arc. Because if she were to die in this arc, I think Aizawa would just completely break. And having President Mike die would give him the motivation, but having President Mike and Midnight die would just break him. So I think that would ruin the story and not allow him to grow and develop more and have a personal reason to go after them, because he'll feel sad and he may try to do other things to himself that could lead to him going from alive to dead. So yeah, but particularly the teachers I want to talk about is Ectoplasm and Cementos, because I think one of them can die and one of them can live. But if Ectoplasm lives, then Cementos has to die, because Cementos is very powerful and his quirk is basically overpowered. But then if Cementos lives, Ectoplasm has to die. And the reason why I have this idea is because they are here to train the students of UA. Either in direct combat or give them a specific area for them to train. So it all derives around the idea of training. And I think that having one of them die can alter the way that the students train and develop their quirks. And I think that'll be very interesting, because if Ectoplasm lives, then the class 1A and 1B can focus more on hand-to-hand combat and strengthening their quirk. While if Cementos lives, then they can sort of strengthen their quirks, but it will strengthen their ability to adapt and change to the environment that they're in. So it's basically Ectoplasm is more hand-to-hand combat, while Cementos is more environmental combat. And I think that having one of them die can change the trajectory of how these students train. So with the teachers out of the way, I want to talk more about the heroes that have direct connections with the heroes, particularly through the internship. And the 4 heroes I'm going to talk about right now include Fourth Kind, Gran Torino, Manual, and Rocklock. And I'm going to start off with Rocklock because he has the greatest connection with the most amount of students, which includes Midoriya, Ochaka, Asui, Mirio, Tamaki, Nejire, and Kirishima. Because if you remember correctly, during the Shihai Hasaki arc, Rocklock was the one who didn't want the students to get involved because A, they're students, and B, that they're young. He didn't want them to put their lives on the line to be heroes yet. So it would make thematic sense to have him believe the same thing, but the difference is maybe he saves one of the kids, or maybe he saves one of the students that we know, and he dies in the process, showing that he was kind of right to show that these kids aren't ready, but still shows that he really did care for the student. Having him die would put more fuel to having those heroes try to bring down the Paranormal Liberation Army. And the same can be said about the hero Manual when it comes to Ida. Because if you remember correctly, during the Stain arc, where Ida learned his lesson, Manual was a part of it. And also how Ida worked under Manual on the second internship arc. And Ida learned how to be more flexible and he grew as a character, but I think having Manual die would not just solely make his character grow, but confirm the growth that he has already had. Because having Manual die would have a similar impact on him on having his brother injured, and then we could reflect on Ida saying, oh my gosh, Manual was killed by the Paranormal Liberation Front, but instead of him feeling revenge, he says, all right, I'm going to defeat them, not just because they killed off the person that I worked under, but just to make sure that they don't ever do this again. So it will show his growth from the Stain arc and training under Manual if Manual were to die. And the same can be said about Gran Torino. And when it comes to Gran Torino, we know that he was a mentor to Midoriya, as well as a mentor to All Might, as well as being co-mentor with Nana. So having him die in this arc as well will not only push All Might to do better and Deku to do better, but it just continues the line of All for One going after not just those who have the power of One for All, but going after their masters and their mentors, killing them, continuing that cycle where All Might and Deku could eventually break it. And it can also show that this will be the first master or mentor that Deku Midoriya loses, and also affect All Might by being another master lost by him. So that's why I think Gran Torino is also a possibility of dying in this war. When it comes to Fourth Kind, this is a little weird, but he could have a similar impact on two specific heroes, which is Red Riot, Kirishima, and Tetsu. Oh my gosh, his name is so funny to say. Fourth Kind's death will have a very emotional impact on Kirishima and Tetsu because they worked under him during the internship. And yes, even though they were unable to do it again, they still had a connection with him, and I think that by his death will fuel them to be better and to be more manly and to try to have a personal reason to fight the Paranormal Liberation Army. Now, with those out the way, the final heroes that I really want to talk about are two sets of teams, the Lurkers and the Wild Wild Pussycat. Starting off with the Lurkers consist of Edshot as the leader, Kamui Woods, and Mount Lady. And when it comes to these three individuals who are going to survive or who's going to die, I think Mount Lady is going to live, but I think either Kamui Woods or Edshot is going to die. And that mainly has to do with the fact that there were a few students in Class 1A and 1B that worked under them, but the reason why I think they're going to die, specifically Edshot and Kamui Woods, is because of the fact that they're going to have a Mount Lady. First, let me talk about Kamui Woods, because if you do not remember, Kamui Woods and Mount Lady were the first male and female superheroes that we saw in My Hero Academia, as well as in the manga. So it would make sense to have one of them die during this arc to show that one of the heroes that we've been following for a while is not immune to death. And I think that's the reason why I think Kamui Woods may die, is because of that connection. And also the connection that he has to Mount Lady as a potential love interest and the potential idea that they are dating. So it would give Mount Lady a reason also to go against the Paranormal Liberation Army. But then on the flip side of that, you have Edgeshot, which has a direct development on the creation of the Lurkers as being the hero, as being the leader of the Lurkers. So having the leader of the Lurkers die, as well as him being literally the fourth most popular and top-rated hero in Japan, will also have a shift in society by showing society that the heroes aren't invincible and that the League of Villains, the Paranormal Liberation Army, can do a lot of damage and is a force to be reckoned with because they've taken out the fourth best hero. So it could be a toss-up between them, and they can both have a strong impact on not just the students but also on Mount Lady. Now, finally, let's talk about the Wild Pussycats. They can either live or die. All of them could live, all of them could die. The most impactful to the story and the characters would be obviously if they all died, but personally, I think that they're gonna live because I do not see Hirikoshi killing off Koda's parent or familial group a second time. He already killed off Koda's father and mother. I cannot see that he kills off literally the rest of his family. And if he were to do that, it would make Koda so jaded that he would fall back into the ideas of hating heroes and fall back into a point where he will never be able to come out of it, even through the help of Deku. And I do not see Hirikoshi doing that. And with that, that's pretty much all I think about when it comes to who's gonna die on the hero side. And now when it comes to the villains, primarily, I think all of the villains are going to live. Mainly the ones that we know and care about, such as like the OG leaders of the Liberation Army, as well as the OG members of the League of Villains. I think they're pretty much all gonna live, except for Twice, as well as Gin. I think that he's gonna survive as well. But the only ones that I think could possibly die are Dr. Chodai Garaki and Redestro. Those are the only two that I see that are definite candidates for possibly dying. The Doctor, mainly because it will be a big blow for the villain side, but it will not be as huge in comparison to the deaths of the hero side. It would mean that the villains would have no access to the Nomus, where, in my personal opinion, I think all of the Nomu, especially the high-ends, could die. It could be very likely that they could survive, but I think that with the heroes all together and Endeavor taking out one of the Nomus in one blast, I think it's very likely that none of them are gonna survive. But I think the Doctor could potentially die in the vein of right before President Mike is going to die, or could be the catalyst for Shigaraki waking up, killing the Doctor, and leading to President Mike's death, as well as the death of the other heroes, and being a martyr for the villain side, where Shigaraki, who wants nothing but to destroy the world, could have another goal of, I'm going to destroy the world because the world, once again, took away someone that I cared about, which would give him more character and make him like more relatable. He would still be a villain, but he would have like more relatable and not solely be, I'm evil for evil's sake. So there's that, as well as Redestro, which again could also be a mortar that could solidify the Paranormal Liberation Army. And by having Redestro die, having Shiraki's like, oh, I killed X heroes because he killed Redestro, and the rest of the Liberation Army could look up to Shigaraki, and it's like, Shigaraki, you're a leader, and basically unify them more. So yeah, that's pretty much all I really want to discuss with y'all. So if you think that another character could potentially die, another hero that I didn't talk about is gonna die, because there's still like a whole lot of main characters that I didn't talk about, like Miss Joke as well as like a few other heroes that we know, as well as like a few heroes in the top 10. Who do you think is going to die in this war? Do you think no one's going to die? Do you think the hero's going to come out of this unscathed? Do you think the heroes are going to win? You're mistaken, but what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Hopefully you like this video, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you in the next video that I make. Goodbye for now. Ooh.